Hey YouTube, thank you for coming back to my channel and catching the second vlog in Jorge's World. The other two videos have been doing all right. I've been getting some views. Once again, I do apologize about the production value of the other two. They're kind of my beta, videos testing, this whole channel and what I'm going to be doing in this. But today, what I want to talk about is what led me to become an actor. Believe it or not, I didn't do any theater. Through middle school, through high school, I didn't do any theater. There was a couple of church plays here and there. But, it's just me being like a Roman because they needed, a young guy to play a Roman during the Easter, passion plays or whatever they did. And I didn't do any acting there, but I always just was curious. I loved creating worlds for myself and even reading books. I didn't get into reading books till I was 23, so, I guess my imagination was through toys, through X-Men, I wanted to be Wolverine for the longest time, but I think a lot of that kind of got put on the back burner when I was in high school. And football. Football was king. I played a lot of positions. I played linebacker, I played center, I played an offensive guard. I played everything in football, and football was my life from, I was 8 years old till I was 18 years old. And I dedicated everything, playing football. And acting was never a thing until maybe my junior year in high school, where I took a drama class. And even then, my junior and senior year drama class wasn't really like an actual drama class. We would play cards and take naps, and it was kind of like an easy A. And this is very important in my story of becoming an actor. But we would take these classes and play cards and listen to Into the Woods, the soundtrack, on replay, just so the teacher could say that we did theater, which I'm not going to name the teacher because I ain't going to get no one in trouble because I ain't no snitch. But keep that in mind. Easy A, drama class. So my 4 years of high school goes by, they go by, and my world was crushed my senior year when my shoulder got injured. And it was the fifth game of that football season. We were playing Ed Couch Elsa. And this is very, very, very like high school dreams, meathead sort of thing. But I remember that game because it was the first time we had beaten Ed Couch Elsa for the first time in like 12 years, or first time ever. It was 49-21 was the score. And I remember I tore my shoulder sacking the quarterback. And then I played another game or two, but then the season fizzled out, and it didn't go as planned. I was frustrated, and my shoulder wasn't the same, and so I started rehabbing it. I couldn't play any college football. That was always a dream, is trying to play college somewhere, but with the bum shoulder, I didn't get surgery. I didn't really need surgery, it's just rehab, but within a few months, I started putting on some weight, and I started getting into alcohol a lot, and drinking and going out to bars. And even at 19, 20, I was going to bars just because, small town Texas, the bouncer gets you in. Then once they see you there a bunch of times at the bar or at the club, they don't really card you anymore. And so I became an alcoholic for a little bit, and I just didn't like where I was going. And I had some really good friends that just got to me before things got really, really worse. And right before I hit rock bottom, and I started realizing by the time I was about 23, 24, I needed to change my life. And I needed to get back into, a positive path. So I decided I needed to go back to school. And with that in mind, I looked at my transcripts, I looked at my grades, and I was like, shoot, man, I like my GPA for college, because I did go for like a semester or two, but I dropped out, and my GPA had dropped to like a 1.6. So I was really, really upset, and I needed to do something to get that GPA up. And I did the one thing that I knew. Remember, I told you, keep in mind the easy A. So I was looking through courses that I knew I could get easy A's on, and I saw an acting class. And I was like, you know what, I'll take an acting one class. And this was at the University of Texas Pan American, which is now UT-RGV, which I won't recognize. My diploma says UT Pan American. but I took an acting one class. It was like an intro to acting class. It was with Dr. Brian Warren. And this was the class that changed my life. And this is the class that, reignited that imagination. I took this class on a whim because I needed the easy A. And as the days went on, as the classes began, we had to audition for actual plays. I had never been in a play before. I didn't know what to do with a play. I didn't know what a monologue was. I didn't know what blocking was. I didn't know what to do at rehearsal. I knew practice. I was an athlete. I knew hustle. I knew hard work. And the competitive spirit that I had as a high school football player kind of came back when I did my first audition. Like I went in there half-assing it just because I needed to do it. And the play that we had to audition for was a play called The Lion in Winter. And I didn't get the part, but I was an understudy, and as an understudy, I kind of had to go to all the rehearsals to see if I needed to learn any lines or back someone up in case someone got sick or hurt or whatever. And I started realizing, I was like, you know what? I don't like being on the sidelines. I was a starter in high school. I was a stud, and you know what? This is the last time I'm gonna do this. Be on the sidelines. So from that point on, I wanted to learn more and more about acting. I wanted to fuel that. Something fueled my fire about this thing about theater. It was so fun seeing all these people learn lines and be on stage and learn blocking. And then I started reading books. I read the Sanford Meisner book. I read the Uta Hagen book. And then I read, the famous An Actor Prepares. And I'm like, I need to learn more. I need to learn more. And so I ended up going into a school in Florida, Jacksonville University, just to get out of South Texas, because I was still kind of falling into my bad habits with drinking and whatnot. And my best friend was living in Florida. And he's like, hey, come over here, check it out, see if you like it or not. And so I did. And I went to a school, Jacksonville University, which was not the best experience educationally, but I learned so much from my peers. They taught me so much. They taught me that you need to dress up for an audition, that you need to have your headshot and your resume on the back of your headshot, and that you need to read a play at least once a week. And this kind of fueled me even more. I left that school after a year, but I left with some great relationships and some great advice from my classmates that, I still hold dear to this day. And when I came back, I was back at Pan Am, and I got into a creative drama class because I don't want to give this another chance. I'm not gonna be the guy on the sideline anymore. And it was in the spring semester that I came back to Pan Am in 2009. 2008, I was there in the fall. I moved back to Texas, but in 2009 I came back to Pan Am in the spring. I had missed all the plays, and I was working a courier job, but then I heard the announcement for the play, the season in the fall, 2009, 2010, and Of Mice and Men was one of them. And I said to myself, you know what? I am going to play Lenny Small. That is the character I'm going to play. No one's going to beat me out on this. I'm going to do this. And mind you, I was about 294 pounds. Like, I went from being a svelte athlete in high school at 185, graduating at 185, lean and mean fighting machine, to just a pudgy, disgusting 294 pounds. So I created my prep for this show. I said, you know what, I'm gonna get this part. And what I did, I bought the book, I bought the movie, I bought the play, and I read the book twice. I read the play many, many times. I watched the movie. I got myself familiar with the part. I got myself familiar with the character, with the world. I remember when I was in Jacksonville, Florida, at that school, we had done the Grapes of Wrath, so I was already familiar with Steinbeck. And then at that school, we had done research on the Dust Bowl and how hard it was. And so I started picking up on how to do research of the era and of the play. So I started just putting this whole thing together for my audition. On top of that, I decided this was a good time to lose some weight. This was a time to get myself in shape because Lenny was a big man. I'm 5'10", I'm not 6'4", I'm not 6'5", but luckily in the Rio Grande Valley, well, at that point, now there's a bunch of tall kids there, but there wasn't that many tall people. So I needed to be big and brawny, like a bull, in that line. It's like, I'm strong like a bull. So I started working out, and I was one of the pioneers of CrossFit, like before everyone did CrossFit. Back in 2009, I started doing CrossFit football, and CrossFit endurance. I was swimming, I was running, and I was lifting weights, and I ended up dropping 44 pounds in 8 weeks. I timed myself at the beginning of those 8 weeks at a 5K, and I tapped out at 48. I remember 48 minutes. My dad had to go pick me up, and so after those 8 weeks, I ended up running a 5K in 31 minutes. So physically, I was there. Mentally, I was there. And then the audition came, and I was ready. I showed up dressed, ready for this audition. This isn't a knock towards the other people there, but I had great experience in that Florida school with getting ready for the audition, having a monologue ready, knowing the source material, knowing everything that I needed to know going into this audition. And I read it, and I read it with confidence, and I booked it. And I ended up working on that show at that university, and it was the most amazing experience I probably had in my acting career. A guy named Rick Rosales played George, and that guy is probably one of the most brilliant actors I've ever worked with, and I really, really would love to work with him again. There's a couple of guys from South Texas, Rob Garcia and Rick Rosales. Those guys are just guys I could work with all the time. Those guys should be on TV. Those guys should be on Broadway right now. And I had the honor to work with those guys, and we put on an amazing show. And from there, I had to take it to the next level, because it's like, I guess, a drug, or, a runner's high, or you've accomplished one thing, but let's see what the next spot is. And that's when, I got the idea to come to grad school here in New York. And I'm going to go ahead and end this one here, and I'll talk about that experience in the next video. But I just want to thank you for watching, and please share it. Share the story. This is, one of many videos going out, and please click the subscribe button. Feel free to visit me on my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, and check out my IMDb. I've done some work. I know I talk about acting and whatnot, and just see some of the credits. There's a few of my clips there, and tell your friends. This is just one of many, and thanks for watching.